Hi, welcome to the bathtub. It's the old masturbator, except no substitutes. We're doing an episode here today on Cormac McCarthy. We've been reading through Cormac McCarthy's books because originally our plan was to read all the way through and in time to read his last two novels before he died, Stella Maris and I think The Passenger. And we're running late, so that's when you're in the bathtub you can run late. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be on time for anything. Isn't that right, Dodo? Lucky's lying down here. People keep asking. Yes, Dodo. We know you're there. Lucky's lying here on the floor in the sun on a little mattress I lie down for her and then take away so she doesn't think it's hers. We're going through all that training. We're retraining Lucky, which is not easy. And she looks like the coronavirus. I can't show her to you because she's still freaks out over stuff we can't even tell about. But most of the day she's okay. And we're okay. This is the Masturbate This Cool t-shirt. Don't forget. No one can have it except me. And, and I know I saved this to show everybody. Dodo's been busy. This is Dodo's latest egg. I'm the proud grandfather of that. And anyway, it's going in the garbage. Sorry, Dodo. She doesn't seem to care about the. She's not a maternal character, old Dodo. She's horny. She likes to have sex with the mirror and produce eggs. That's basically what she does all day. Anyway, we're trying to calm her down, trying to calm Dog down, trying to calm me down. And a great book to do it is The Total Destruction of the World, where everybody's dying and starving to death, and some guy's trying to save his 8 or 7 or 8 year old son. Pretty depressing, huh? Anyway, I have to say this book came out. I was a big Cormac. I've been a Cormac McCarthy fan for several decades, I guess, since about the time Blood Meridian came out. This one came out in 2006. It was one of those books. I remember when it came out. It was a bit of a surprise. He published several books pretty quickly, and they were all a little different from each other. And I remember reading a blurb somewhere what the subject was, that it was about a guy trying to take care of his kid at the end of the world. And I immediately knew it was going to be a great book. I have to say, I just knew. This is one of my few predictions. At about the same time, actually, I knew that the Inherent Vice by Pynchon was going to be great, because a California detective novel was sort of perfect for Pynchon. Just like this was perfect for McCarthy, and I think he pulls it off magnificently. It's my favorite. I reread it this past. I must have reread it in like 2 or 3 days. Most McCarthy novels I reread pretty quickly. And I will say that the first time I read it, it was horrifying and beautiful. Horrifying and beautiful is sort of the two words that keep going with McCarthy, whichever one of his books you read. But he was born to write this book. And the idea of it is the sort of book that I think men will understand this book probably a little bit better than women, but maybe not. I don't know if that's true. But I do. The notion of being a father and feeling a responsibility to protect your child and from the most horrific world that is out there, and it is a pretty horrific world for children, is the perfect idea for McCarthy. And he pulls it off really well. It's very rarely sentimental. Most of the dialogue between most of the book is dialogue between the father and the son, and then their journey. I think they're going south towards the Gulf because the area they live in has no food and they need to find a new place to live. And he feels like going to the ocean might be a future for this kid. And the wife, the mother, the child has been born after there's been it's a nuclear apocalypse, and the whole world is covered in ash, and there's no food. And it's become a sort of a tribal nightmare where there's basically these wild tribes running around eating each other and catching human beings. It's a totally cruel landscape, just like Blood Meridian or just like Outer Dark, where you just have the most cruel instincts of human beings going out there to just destroy each other, and for power and for control and for food. And so this guy's trying to take care of his kid, and they're pushing a shopping cart basically down from one end of America to the other. And it's a series of episodic scenes with long passages of description of this kind of, in this beautiful, beautiful prose, some of the best writing McCarthy ever did. And the notion that just you're taking this kid and you're trying to protect him in a world in which there's no protection for anybody. It's just nobody. McCarthy knows how to tell a story, so he doesn't totally destroy what could happen to these people. He gives them about as much hope as they can get in this journey, and there's even a passage about midway through where they discover a bomb shelter filled with food when they're just about starving. Sort of slightly manipulative ideas and plot twists, but McCarthy pulls them all off. Anyway, it's a lovely novel. If you haven't read it, I do think it's worth reading. I don't find it as depressing. I mean, I have a kind of, as I said in the past, I quite like post-apocalyptic novels. Normally, if you read like George R. Stewart's Earth Abides, say, or even Mechanical for Leibowitz, all these books I read as a kid, No Blade of Grass, all the wonderful John Wyndham novels, there's something kind of cool about living after the end of the world and living simply and, surviving by growing your own food and all that stuff. There's something kind of romantic about it. There's very little romance in this book. There's very little at all. But it does really work. And as a reread, it works. And I think it's easily I find it his best novel altogether. Most satisfying and most, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable horror. I read a small passage. There's several scenes in it that I never forgot from the first time I read it. And I do think he's a very imaginative writer, and McCarthy often comes up with scenes I have not seen before in all the books too many books I've read in my life. And one of the passages I never forgot was the father taking this kid and they're camping out in this grove of trees. And this is the total destruction of nature. We've just destroyed the planet. It's just the most ruthless stupidity of human beings have just destroyed everything. And there's these trees, and they just start falling down. I'll never forget this scene. I'll just read a little passage so you get a little sense of one of the horrors of the book. It's been snowing. He was half asleep when he heard a crashing in the woods. Then another. He sat up. The fire was down to scattered flames among the embers. He listened. The long, dry crack of shearing limbs. Then another crash. He reached and shook the boy. "Wake up," he said. "We have to go." You'll notice, as opposed to Blood Meridian, we have these kind of almost florid and lyrical passages. Much simpler languages in this, much sparer landscape, but it's just as effective and just as well produced, well produced prose. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes with the backs of his hands. "What is it?" he said. "What is it, Papa?" "Come on, we have to move." "What is it?" "It's the trees. They're falling down." The boy sat up and looked about wildly. "It's all right," the man said. "Come on, we need to hurry." The father's constantly saying it's all right when these horrible things are happening. He scooped up the bedding and he folded it and wrapped the tarp around it. He looked up. The snow drifted into his eyes. The fire was little more than coals, and it gave no light, and the wood was nearly gone, and the trees were falling all about them into blackness. The boy clung to him. They moved away, and he tried to find a clear space in the darkness, but finally he put down the tarp, and they just sat and pulled the blankets over them, and he held the boy against him. The whump of the falling trees and the low boom of the loads of snow exploding on the ground set the woods to shuddering. He held the boy and told him it would be all right and that it would stop soon, and after a while it did. The dull bedlam dying in the distance, and again, solitary and far away. Then nothing. "There," he said. "I think that's it." He dug a tunnel under one of the fallen trees, scooping away the snow with his arms. His frozen hands clawed inside his sleeves. They dragged in their bedding and the tarp, and after a while they slept again for all the bitter cold. Anyway, every passage is beautifully written and draws you into this kind of really episodic, almost aimless narrative, which feels like a complete novel when you get to the end. And I think it's worth reading. I like the book very much. The Road is my favorite McCarthy novel, probably. That's all I got to say. We only have one more. I never read Sunset Limited all the way through, which is the next book chronologically, I think. And I think I want to give it another try. And then we'll finally get to Passenger and Stella Maris sometime in the not too foreseeable future. because the future is not too foreseeable. Probably that's for the best. Stay safe. Lucky says hi. She's doing her best. We're all doing her best. And Dodo's doing a great job producing eggs. She just got them. She's just popping them out there, man. Okay, stay safe. Bye.